We flew in the most entertaining man in combat sports. The American gangster, Chael Sonnen, is on this week's Food Truck Diaries. And I'm feeding him barbecue.
Cheesy bacon tots. How do we not
I
try
can't have
that?
them, but I can't have them. I can't have them.
I can't either.
Why can't you?
I'm doing the low-carb thing, inspired by Rogan.
I feel like you should be eating greens.
I don't have enough info on the diet. Rogan put out like 2 sentences on it, and I go, well, if Rogan
Yeah,
can
if
do
him
it, I can.
shitting his pants.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
Everyone's like, I'm gonna do that diet.
Yeah.
I don't mind a little diet.
It was the worst pitch ever, and I go, sounds like a good idea.
Everyone did.
You guys are doing the low carb. You want to stick with that?
I would love meat, but I will try that coleslaw.
We have a beef and pork hot link as well. I can throw that on there.
I like those.
And I'm a Diet Coke, and all on him.
Yep, I'm a Diet Coke too, and yeah, I'll take care of the bill. How's life of Chael Sonnen, man? I was thinking about it on the drive over here. I feel like you're the guy who, for whatever reason, you're the nicest guy in the world, but you're like, I can't get this.
Tell me.
But you're the only guy who can play both sides. Like you're working for Bellator,
Sure.
you're best friends with Dana, you work for ESPN, you work for Bellator, you know, it's like.
I gotta tell you, I don't have any secret on that, but I do feel very grateful. I mean, one thing, and you'll agree with me.
I can tell you why.
Well, I would love to know.
Yeah, I think it's because you're a pleasure to work with, and you're really nice. Before you came on, I said, even when you retired, I said this. Your wife actually reached out to me. She DM'd me. I said, you're the only guy in any sport. I played a ton of sports in locker rooms. The only guy who, when guys get together, we're like a knit circle, man.
Sure.
We talk shit around the water cooler. You're the only guy who never talked negative about anybody.
I appreciate
even here,
that. That's
even
nice.
here. I'm not gonna say what I was talking about. I go, dude, I heard this guy, and you're like, no, he's actually a really, like you're not negative ever.
I sincerely appreciate that, but I didn't know that about myself because I actually like to gossip. I like to know other people's business. I like to talk
But it's not
about
from
it.
you.
Yeah, it's one of those.
It's never from you.
I suppose that's
Yeah.
true. But I'll tell you this: I do feel fortunate in this way. It's so hard to participate in this sport without getting in there and doing the punches and kicking. It's very hard. So I am very lucky in that, because I do get to play both sides, as you put it. It's a fair statement. I got to live with it.
I mean, obviously, you get the jobs too because you're really good at it. You're articulate.
Well, thank
you're
you.
good at it. Plus, you've been in the big fights, so you know exactly what's going on.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's fun to cover them, it's fun to speculate. I got to tell you, in all my years, if you listen to my picks, I feel like I can do a good job in the sport. If you listen to my picks and you bet the opposite, you would have made a lot of money over time. I can't pick a fight.
Do people come at you like, you have the worst picks in the sport? I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
show me somebody who's good. I'm always off. Also, I always pick my friends.
Sure.
I've trained, the 6 degrees of separation, and fighting's about 2 degrees. So I always know someone, I train with someone, and I'm always super biased.
Sure.
I always tell people, don't listen to my picks, man. Don't listen to my picks.
Sure.
Ever.
No, I got to tell people
It's
that
also,
too.
it's fighting.
Right. Like, I'm a fan first. I know these guys.
too.
There's a human element. Allow me to disclose that and then start the breakdown from there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do my best to see. I'm going to do my best to say what I see. But I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And there is a side. My career started as a fan. It's going to end as a fan.
Are you officially, you're officially retired?
I'm
though.
retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told my wife, so I retired in June of last year. And about a month later, my wife was asking me, hey, how you feeling? Are we going back? I said, babe, here's what you have to understand. I retired a month ago. I quit 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a big difference, but that's a real part of this sport. We don't know when to get out. And then you start to lie to yourself a little bit and go, I could go back. But I mean, that's just a part of the sport. I could identify guys right now that are still doing it. I won't, but I could. Who are in the spot that I was in, where it's like, hey guys, it's over.
I could do
It's
that
just
so
over.
easily.
Yeah.
I thought me and Brian Counter talking about this the other day about another fighter. I went, oh, he's done. He went, no, I talked to him. Brian, I'm telling you,
Trust
I was
me.
that guy.
Right.
I know the look. I know the conversations he's having with people and his interviews. He's checked out.
He's
man.
done.
Yeah.
It's over. And it's one of those sports, and Dana White says it the most. You can't be halfway in this. If you start talking about retiring, get out. It's the wrong sport. And it sounds very cold, but he is right. In hindsight, you can't do it halfway in. You want to know who I'm worried about in some ways is Daniel Cormier. Only because he started talking about when I turn 40, March 6th, I'm out of here. That came and went. Now here we're almost on a March 6th again. He wants to come back. Now I think he can regain it. I think that loss to Stipe probably made him hungry again. I'm hearing great things in the gym, but that did concern me in some ways. Where you go, okay, but here's what you said.
I
so
know,
now you got to run it back. But here's what you said.
It's that one though, right?
Yeah.
At least we know it's like just that one. He's not saying he's going to beat some young lion.
Sure.
It's like he has that one against Stipe. I don't want to see him fight John.
Sure.
When he talks about John, I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, we've seen it twice.
Yeah.
We've seen it twice. Let's move on. In many ways, I will tell you this. I am compelled to see that fight in this way. What weight class you go at matters. Everybody has a weight. I mean, for that matter, everybody kind of has a sport. You don't always find your right sport. Daniel Cormier is a heavyweight. That's where he belongs.
You think?
He never lost a wrestling match at heavyweight. He even wrestled off against our top guy who was named Steve Mocco. Yeah. He's never lost at heavyweight. He never lost a fight to heavyweight until Stipe. He never lost a round at heavyweight until Stipe. In many ways, yeah, I think that Daniel Cormier is a heavyweight. And I went and played around with him when he was a heavyweight. I go, this is a different guy. I know this guy 20 years. I've played with him plenty of times. This is a different guy. This is a different strength, a different sturdiness. I went to knock him off balance one time. He didn't budge. We only played for like 2 minutes. I go, okay, you found your weight class. This guy's found his weight class.
Such a monster. I love DC. I don't want to see him and John at heavyweight.
Sure.
I just don't. But I do think the fight with Stipe, he should have won that fight.
Yep.
And you know this, DC has one of the best IQs in the sport. Walking forward with his hands down, like, what the hell are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Right.
Especially at heavyweight.
Yeah.
The lack of respect, I'm like, of course you got knocked out, dude.
It's like, DC, you just did this. Oh, by the way, you just did this 2 rounds ago. Not you did this a year ago. In the first round of this fight. Why aren't we doing that again? It was kind of one of those weird things. And you know what? Stipe, I'm sorry to cut, but Stipe deserves a lot of credit. That body shot it looks easy on TV. That is so hard to dip outside and hit a guy right there.
Get off the line, yeah.
And he did it, 12 times in a row, 13 times in a row? I mean, come on, man.
Stipe is a guy who never gets his due, though, does he?
Never does.
I wonder why. Like, even though, if you look what he did to Francis Ngannou, even I was like, man, Stipe screwed in this one. Kind of mopped the floor, ate some of Francis' biggest shots, didn't even get fazed by it. I mean, it's a more impressive win now, but even now, no one gives him his due.
Sure. The time he beat.
It's because he's quiet, you think?
Yeah, I think
But then also, the other thing, I do think he's one of the greatest ever. The greatest? I don't know about that. He's definitely top 3. But I think it's because when he was fighting the guys, they were just past their prime.
Sure.
So I think people put too much emphasis on that.
There was a little bit of that, but I mean, he's putting guys to sleep. You know, see Verdum, see Junior Dos Santos. They say that's what people want to say. They say that's the big driver. They say you got to be handsome. This guy's fantastic looking. They say you got to be a good guy. I don't know if there is a better guy. I mean, come on, he's a fireman, for goodness sake. People say he's hard to understand. I must tell you, when I talk to him, I understand every word he says. When I hear his interviews, it does come off a little bit garbled. I don't know if it's the microphone or what, or when he's tired after a fight. When I talk to him like this, I've never once thought he's hard to understand.
Yeah.
But I don't know either. I mean, you look at that guy for star power, he checks a lot of boxes.
You think?
Yeah, but he doesn't
Love to hear it.
demand it. He doesn't go out there and demand,
He's not
guy,
like must see,
right.
you know? But I think with the new kind of, especially in the UFC, the new platform, it's going to be tough for guys to become superstars, man.
Yep.
It just is. The game's changed.
I agree.
The pay-per-view model's different. Yep. I was talking to Kevin Lee earlier today. We were talking about becoming superstar. I don't know if those guys are still around. I don't know.
You know, I like that you bring up Kevin as an example of this, only because Kevin is at least smart enough in the business. He will book his own media tour. If the UFC PR doesn't give him the opportunity he wants, he will reach out to people and say, I want to come on your show. He will get his own credit card out, book his own tickets, fly into town, do your show, do my show, go, try to get into Rogan. But he will do these things, and there's something about that I respect. And I also think he's handsome, he's young, he's excited to watch.
The boxes.
He checks the boxes, but if they don't see it that way and they don't give him the opportunity, he goes and finds it himself. And I bring that up because the last time you and I talked, we were talking about Colby. And we were saying, look, if Colby has some success, one thing that he is doing different, he's bringing his own cameras in. He's starting to produce his own content. And as silly as it may be, if Colby gets over doing this, it's going to change the sport. We're going to see other guys bringing their own cameras in and starting to put out their own pieces. And I feel in some ways, use Henry Cejudo by example, I feel in some ways that guys that there is something that's catching on. I think Kevin Lee deserves credit for understanding what the company isn't giving him and going and getting it himself instead of complaining.
Agree. I think the UFC, they're not telling you not to do it. It's kind of on you. They can't babysit everyone. So when people go, oh, I should begin this, go get it, man. You can hire your own team. Go get it.
Right.
Man. Look at Colby. And we had Colby on here. I tell a story and people were like, how are you going to out Colby? because Colby, you know, he says some outlandish stuff and stuff like that. Say what you want, as a fighter, so talented. His last fight was amazing.
Amazing.
And you know this more than anyone. He's a good dude. Even on this before, I go, Colby, he has the belt and the suit on. He's on the phone, and I go, hey, dude, listen. On the show, don't do the act the whole time. Like, let's just talk like humans. He's like, nah, I got you, man. I go, and dude, let's not have the strippers or whoever you're gonna hire. He's like, oh, we got to have those, man. I go, no, we don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Sure.
I went, whatever you pay him, I'll cover your costs. You don't need them. He's like, they're already coming, man. Let's see how it goes.
That's great.
Yeah. So they're here. The two chicks are here.
Sure.
It's just awkward, but
Sure.
you try to get as much as you can out of him. But he just has this whole. He has this shtick in his head where he's like, I have to stay on track. I have to stay on track.
He has an idea.
He's always thinking.
He's committed to it, right?
He's always thinking, though. Like, even the back, we're sitting, I can see his wheels turning. He's like, man, it's good. I just feel like, he's a director. He's like, and then he asked one of the girls, he's like, hey, you should give me a massage. She goes, get the fuck out of here. He's like, okay.
He was mad at you for telling that story.
I know, he's
to
mad.
somebody. I heard about it. I was like, man, Colby, I don't know if he's
trying to make him human.
He's sharing,
I'm trying to make him,
He's kind of sharing behind the scenes. People ask me about him all the time, and they go, hey, he's a good guy. I go, okay. I would love to tell you he's the nicest guy I've ever met. He's not that.
No.
But he's not the guy you see on TV.
No.
This is just a hard-working, driven guy that picked an angle and went with it, and he deserves a lot of credit for it. And by the way, he is getting that. I mean, that fight with Usman was nothing less than amazing. Regardless,
Phenomenal
and
fight.
Usman goes over to. I've known Usman was good for a long time. Come on, I didn't know he was this good.
Phenomenal fight.
See what he did to T Wood? Nobody holds T Wood down.
I
Come
know.
on. And then he
know.
goes out there, digs deep. That fight got dirty.
Super
Colby
dirty.
poked him in the eye on accident. Kamar came back, poked him on the eye on purpose.
I like that.
Oh, they
That's
were
why
nasty.
I wanted out of that fight.
Oh, they were grabbing it. Oh man.
But that's the one thing with Colby, like everyone's like, oh, he lost, he's done. I'm like, that guy's not going anywhere, man.
No.
He's not going anywhere.
No, hell no.
I was asking Colby, and you know this too, like, you wouldn't go to the thing he's doing is a completely different level, but even you would go, I was watching some of your old media days and stuff like that with Anderson and the quotes about the No Garrett brothers and all that
Sure.
stuff. What people don't realize is that's a different type of energy. Like you're bringing on this negative energy,
Sure.
man, and going into the fight. That's just a different animal.
Yeah.
When you watch those fights, I'm like, I can't believe you used to do that.
Yeah.
Even when Colby's here, I'm like, aren't you exhausted? Off air, I'm like, aren't you exhausted?
What'd he say?
He's like, I'm fine, man. He's
All
like,
right.
I'm fine. I'm like, I guess, dude.
I got to tell you, his fight with Kamaru only proved one thing, which is Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman are the two baddest dudes in the world. Now, you're going to have to find somebody else to come in, and maybe they'll have a round robin, and then they'll rematch eventually. But that fight was so close. And even the judge, I thought Colby was up 3-1. I watched it with Rashad, who kind of thought the same thing, and his teammates with Kamaru.
3-1, huh?
I thought it was super close, 3-1,
Close.
but 3-1. The judges officially had it 2-2 going to the final round. Kamaru proved his point in the final round, but I think the point was also proved that Colby Covington, if Kamaru was a champion, Colby's right underneath
right
him. Come
there.
on, he's champ B.
He's right there. Let's grab our food, man.
Hey, thank you for doing this for us.
Hey.
The low
Yeah,
carb
thank
and the
you,
whole bit.
man.
That was cool.
for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I've got there. So there's the meat and coleslaw. I know you didn't ask for it, but you got to try chili, so I put a little. There's
Oh, that's awesome.
5 different sauces for you.
Oh,
That's for
perfect.
you. I
I'll
got one for
definitely
you.
put
Thank
some
you.
sauce on there.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
not
definitely.
get crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's not get
So
crazy.
all 5 are different. Just dip them in and make sure you try the chili. All right, cool.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, brother.
That environment when you work in the McGregor fight, Luke Thomas and I were talking about it. It didn't feel like a Conor fight that fight week.
Sure.
The buzz wasn't the same. He's obviously super professional, has a lot else going on outside the octagon. And then you see him in there. You were there live, right? Obviously working for ESPN. Was the atmosphere as electric as? Because I know they reported. Well, MacLife reported. Conor owns MacLife, like 2 million pay-per-view buys, which I'm super skeptical of.
Sure.
I didn't. As amazing a performance that was, I didn't feel it. It didn't feel like
Sure.
a Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah, so
am I off on that?
No, not completely. I mean, look, they sold an $11.1 million gate. They did it in minutes. They didn't say how long, but they called it minutes, which is true. It was absolutely packed. The Irish came to town. They did the cheers and all that. But there was a little bit less buzz, I can tell you, a little bit less energy, less Irish parties, less Irish people taking over the streets and doing the songs and doing all of this stuff. Now, all of those things still existed, in fairness. I'm just saying that it was a little bit
Smaller
less.
scale.
Yeah. Now, that isn't going to be true in his next fight.
No.
I mean, he hit a home run
back.
here. He did pack the media day. He did pack the open workouts. He absolutely packed the weigh-ins. So anything that you could quantify with a number, yeah, he hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Do I believe the pay-per-view was all that high? That would surprise me. That would kind of be a little higher than I would think. But yeah, man, he's still a star. There's no question he's a star. As I'm saying this, and it almost sounds anti-Conor for this, I have to tell you, that's only on Conor's own scale. I mean, he's kind of like a stock market. He's going to balance out sometimes in peaks
there's no
and
one
valleys.
even close.
Yeah, there's probably a valley there.
If we're talking about stars, he's miles ahead of it. I mean,
Miles.
And I think it's funny because, you know, especially the business we're in, when you talk about stars and you're like, oh, you know, this isn't a knock on Masvidal or Kamaru Usman or, you know, any of these other guys, but you think they're stars.
Sure.
And then when Conor comes in town,
Sure.
like, oh, no. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There he is.
Well, I'll give you an example of that. So a lot of guys, they get to participate in the pay-per-view, want to be on a Conor pay-per-view. They lobby to be on a card that Conor will be on so that they can get stared at. That is a sucker's move because, to your point, if you think you're a star and you take the stage with him, he will get 90% of the questions and you will look like a fool. Let him have his moment. Stay the hell out of the way. If you think you're a star or you're a challenger, don't ask to be on a Conor pay-per-view. Let all the other guys do it that need pulled up, because one thing that happens with these stars, Ronda went through it, Conor goes through it, but it's hard to build stars around these stars because they're going to suck all the air out of the room. There's only so many interviews and everybody's going to take them. And if you're coming up at that same time, you don't have some way to be a little bit different, it's all going to go to them and you're going to look like a fool.
But to your point, too, that pay-per-view, I couldn't wait. They could have just sold me on one fight. I didn't see any of the other fights. All those other fights were boring. Get to the main event.
100%.
I just want to see Conor. I couldn't even tell you who's fighting on the card.
100%.
I have to break it down. I can't tell you who's fighting on the card.
And the crowd was largely like a boxing crowd. I'm talking live house. In that, it filled up just before Conor. Now, that isn't totally true, but it's close to true. I mean, it was half full. You think of the money you spend, you're flying across the country. I'm going to be like Steve-O. I'm going to every single fight.
Yeah.
Doors open at 3, I'm there at 3 o'clock. I got my drink, I got my nacho, I'm ready to go. No, people came in late for this. Oh, I have one little insider scoop for you. I don't know if you'll think this is interesting or not, but Conor did not show up. Allow me to explain. Main card starts, 7 o'clock, live on pay-per-view. Conor's not there. First fight done, Conor's not there. Second fight done. Conor has not arrived to the arena yet. Third fight in progress, Conor's the 5th fight. So now there's a 4th fight, however long that's going to go. Whatever's left of the 3rd fight, it's time for the main event to walk. Conor hasn't arrived.
No.
He shows up in a 3-piece. He's got to get out of those clothes. That's not easy to do.
Takes forever.
He's got to warm up. He's got to tape up. Has to by commission rules, and he has to drug test. He did all of that inside of 40 minutes, made a walk, and had a 40-second
Why would he do
fight.
that?
You know, he was doing whatever Conor does, or maybe he didn't want to be there, or maybe he's such a veteran he doesn't want to. But I think it's a good story. They kind of tried to keep this under wraps and go, no.
No,
If
that's
this
a
is
great
part of
story.
get the story out.
That's a
The fact
badass
that
move.
he rolled in, peed in a cup, and walked out there, tell the story, man. Tell the Conor story as it happened.
It just adds to the legend of Conor.
He's a
Because as a
legend.
fighter, I hear when you tell me he's not. Oh God. You get nervous, man.
They delayed on the pay-per-view. They delayed the main event, and only by a little bit, but they were playing commercials for a movie or whatever it is they did.
Because one fight was out, right?
Yeah.
The one girl fight got pulled off.
That got
She missed
pulled
weight,
off of there.
So they had to add something to it.
They slid something else in there, which is actually the second fight of the night. It was scheduled for the second fight of the night. They ended up throwing it on the second fight of the pay-per-view. But the bottom line is there's only 5 fights.
What a
Fight
stud.
3 was going on when he walks in the building.
What
in
a
a 3-piece, looking
what a
fantastic.
Stud. Yeah, Joe, what a stud, man. So what
See, I agree with you. Tell that part
That's
of
amazing
Conor
story.
McGregor is not here yet. Tell that.
Tell everyone know.
the
And then
story
everyone
the way
know
it
he
happened.
rolls in, nonchalant, not stressed, and starts the dude in 40 seconds.
Yes.
That's insane.
With almost no warm-up.
No warm-up.
I mean, I wasn't in there in the back. I just know there just isn't enough time. I
That's
know he had to pee.
insane.
Have you ever had to do a pee test when you don't have to pee? You're drinking.
It's
water.
stressful.
It's terrible.
They're waiting around. They don't leave. They're like flies.
Right.
And you can't get rid of them TP.
He found some way to get all of these things done and make the walk on time.
God, the legend continues,
Right. They need
man.
to tell this. This is great.
So if you're Dana White, what do you do next with Conor?
Oh, okay. Well,
I have my opinions. Obviously, I'm sure you're going to ask this at the coffee shop. And
it's so fun to speculate. But why you and I speculate when Dana is telling people the answer, which is Khabib, is a little bit strange. However,
come on.
I think if Dana, at some point, Dana's going to have to get a calendar out. And he's going to be confronted with the fact that Khabib has Tony in April. By the way, very hard fight, but then he goes into Ramadan, and he's not free again until September. Conor's openly saying it's Conor's season. I did 1 fight, and I want to do 3 more. Conor is a man of his word, and I take him at his word. He wants to stay busy this year. I can't imagine we hold him out till September. By the way, on a one-off that they even get the Khabib fight done, on a one-off that Khabib gets by Tony. It seems like too much to ask. To put Conor with Masvidal is the main as a fan that I
Correct.
want to see. But then that Burns, Masvidal versus Usman. It seems like one thing that would solve. I don't know. Does it? What's Kamaru doing in the meantime?
Well, he's injured. He's in a cast.
Okay, I didn't
He's
know
out
that.
for a while. He's in
All
a
right.
cast.
Well, let's just say if Masvidal was supposed to fight Kamaru, but you broke that fight up to put Conor and Masvidal together. Great, fine. We do the BMF instead. You could solve all the problems by letting Khabib fight Tony as scheduled, putting Kamaru and Masvidal together whenever the cast is, and then you bring Nate Diaz into the mix. And it seems as though Nate, even though he's the one that's least talked about right now, it seems as though that solves a lot of problems.
You're going to do the trilogy fight, Nate Conor?
Yeah,
First?
I think so. I think if I was to make a prediction,
here's the problem with all that. Here's the problem with all that. And this is why when Dana goes out, he's assuming that Khabib gets by Tony, which is a crazy assumption. I think that's the toughest matchup of all time for Khabib, and even if he wins that, his face doesn't look like Freddy Krueger. So let's say he gets by that. The problem is if Conor were to fight Masvidal or Conor were to fight Nate, if he loses it, the biggest pay-per-view of all time in UFC history, which would be Khabib Conor 2, is gone.
Sure.
So I think that's why Dana goes, no, that's the fight. Because he knows that magnitude of fight is the biggest pay-per-view they can do in the world.
Sure.
So that I think he's just banking on that.
I agree with you.
But it's not going to happen because Conor's going to go, what are you talking about? Ramadan, and get by. What are we talking about? That's not going to happen.
Okay, so that's my ultimate question to you. Do you think they wait till September to bring Conor back when Conor's saying, I want back?
No, I think you're going to get Masvidal. Masvidal doesn't want to wait. Kamaru's in a cast. I don't see that. The Nate Diaz fight, The Nate Diaz fight, I think that's never going anywhere.
Really?
We're not foaming at the mouth for it. It's whatever. Nate's been kind of in the spotlight. He got beat up pretty bad against Masvidal. I don't know how you scored the fight. It wasn't much of a fight, I don't think.
It was 0-3.
It was tough, right? So I just that Nate fight. You can do that when Conor's balls are down to his ankles. That's never going anywhere.
Right.
So I think they're banking on that.
That's a funny expression.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna risk the biggest pay-per-view of all time with a Nate Diaz trilogy.
Yeah. Hey man, I love the point you're making. I just have to keep coming back to, man, that's in September. I don't know about that. And then we could stop on the first point you and I are making, which you're going to make a foregone conclusion that anybody's getting past Tony Ferg.
That's insane.
Man, I'm not that kind of gambler.
I'm not that guy. He is a savage.
I tell people the story all the time. I go,
about his training?
I've never seen anybody train like this. We used to finish practice. We'd all hit the showers. He would line guys up, and they would go round robin.
And then he'd run?
Yes.
And then he'd get on the heavy bag.
And then he'd go to the heavy
I was
bag.
like, I'll have what he's having.
It would. The whole room would be cleared out, and Tony Ferg still hitting the heavy bag and going, what's going on here?
It's crazy.
Does this guy, yes.
Legit crazy.
He is crazy.
Legit crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes. And just possibly the greatest lightweight of all time. We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. I do think Masvidal Conor is a better fight than people. Most fans, especially online, Masvidal's going to steamroll Conor. Like, I don't know, man. I love Masvidal, and he does everything great, and he's kind of on this, he skyrocketed after the Ben Askren fight and what he did to Nate. But when you look at the matchup, it's not bad.
Yep.
It's not a bad matchup.
Oh, I agree. Listen, the days, if we had this conversation a week ago, Masvidal kills Conor, and I won't hear anything else.
Agree.
Put Conor in there with Kamaru. Oh my God, it's game. After what he did, this is no longer a laughing matter. Conor McGregor is the real deal. I mean, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's going to run over Conor. We've never seen anybody run over him, including Floyd, in all fairness. Nobody really ran over him.
No,
Now,
he won some rounds.
Yeah, he definitely did. Khabib outpositioned him, and Khabib held him down. I get what happened in that fight, but those were some positional things. I mean, Conor's good. There's no way around it.
Here's the other thing. He also didn't train for that fight.
Sure. And by the way,
Did you buy that?
He was drunk 2 days ago. Yeah, kind of, a little bit.
Me too.
I mean, I have a feeling he trained some, but yeah, I think he.
But I do believe he was kind of half-assed
yeah.
and thought he could get it done.
Sure.
But I think that's what sells the Khabib rematch, because I'm like, the guy didn't really train.
Right.
He was half-assing, getting drunk, doing whatever he's doing.
By his own admittance. I mean, you can say what you about Conor, but there is a couple of things that are pretty consistent. First off, he is not a coward. He will fight anybody, anywhere, including in a different sport. He's not a coward. And second, he's a man of his word.
Yep.
Sometimes he doesn't give his word, but if he says something, you can count on it. When he says it's Conor's season, I believe him.
But also, Dana,
I think he's going to stay busy.
And he's going to stay busy. And Dana did say, he's like, I've offered him fights, and he always says yes. If someone gets hurt, he's the first guy to text me. He's just that guy, man. Mm-hmm. He's that guy.
Came up with a Masvidal story over the weekend.
What do you got?
So, Masvidal and Bisping are mortal enemies at the time this story starts. And I actually knew that. They got in a couple of dust-ups that even got caught on camera.
Recently?
No, this is like 2 years ago, but it was bad. I mean, they got in almost street fights twice. Yeah, it was really bad.
Because neither guy can kind of. And before you tell the story, I feel like Bisping doesn't get enough credit. People, I don't think they realize that Bisping's like from the streets of England. Like,
right.
Bisping takes no shit. Like, he'll fight you on.
Right.
Doesn't need a crowd.
Right.
He will fight, man.
That's the
thing.
thing.
He's a tough customer.
He's a legit badass. If
Tough
you
guy.
challenge Bisping, you're fighting Bisping.
You better be ready.
Masvidal's the same way. If you challenge Masvidal, you're fighting Masvidal.
They're the same guy.
They're the same guy. One's from England and one's from Cuba.
One guy's Cuban.
They're both gangsters.
They're the same guy.
I agree with you. They're both, okay, so they have this dust up. And I remember feeling uncomfortable at it because knowing like, hey, man, something's going to happen here because neither one of these guys is stepping backwards.
Two pit bulls.
So all of a sudden, it all goes away and they're fine. So Bisping tells me what happened. So we're having this dust up, we're having this back and forth, and he says, I come walking down a hallway, and I got 4 buddies with me, and they're all 4 big guys, plus me, and there's some guy coming the other way in a stocking hat. He doesn't know it's George Masvidal. He doesn't know it is, though, because the guy's in a hat. So as they approach, Masvidal, like, moves out of the way so they can all pass by. That's all that happened. Masvidal thought he was going to get jumped. Now, he only thought he was going to get jumped because if he was in that spot, he would have jumped Bisping with his buddies. Because they did not jump him,
oh, wow.
Square. So Masvidal puts the word out, which gets back to Bisping that, hey, you and me are cool because you gave me that pass. And Bisping's like, man, I never would have jumped you in the first place. But cool, let's just be cool. So they're cool. So now they're hanging out. Masvidal shares a story with him. He says, I was at a club. And Masvidal had a necklace on, like a chain, I guess they call it, a nice watch. And 2 guys walk up to him, and one of the guys, like, flicks the necklace. George doesn't know how to interpret that other than they're getting ready to rob me, so George knocks both of them out. Now, if you ever meet if you ever meet a guy, Brendan,
like Vegas,
if you ever meet a guy that says, I knocked out 2 guys in a club, he's a liar.
I check out. Yeah, I'm like, okay, buddy.
Unless it's George Masvidal that tells you that. Okay, so this scene unfolds, people are coming around, George ducks into the bathroom to lay low. Some dude comes into the bathroom. George doesn't know if he's with them. Could be a customer, but might be with them.
Could be.
Puts this guy out. And I said, George, why'd you have to knock out the guy in the bathroom? And he said, I couldn't take the risk. And I go, well, no, George, hold on, excuse me.
The guy might take a shit.
You kind of have to take the risk. You kind of have to, because what if he was just in there to wash his hands? I mean, who knows? George said, I'm going to take the risk. I said, George, I can't have this story and not do what I do and put the story out.
I gotta have that out
I'm
there,
telling this story, man. Are you good with that? He goes, cool, man.
Cool.
Like, he didn't know there was any, this was like a normal day.
He doesn't care at all.
He didn't, nothing.
He's the best, man. He was on here, man. He could, I mean, he just, you know, he doesn't, he's the guy that it's not an act. Like, everything's all real. No. He's super loosey-goosey, goes with the flow. Actually has anxiety about talking, you know. He's just, he's the real deal, man.
You know, and to your point, so is Bisping. I mean, Bisping, look, that's a rough dude.
Yeah.
You want to pick a fight, go ahead, but be ready to fight.
Bisping's not the guy.
Be ready to fight.
Bisping's not the guy.
Right.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know how it got started, but when I was starting to see, and I was young, maybe 2 years in, and we were supposed to do a signing together. And I get a call from Dana. I answer the phone. I go, what's up, man? He goes, what's your deal with Bisping? I go, excuse me? He goes, Bisping told me he doesn't want to do a sign with you. Apparently you guys have some beef. I was like, no, there's zero beef. He goes, yeah, because he said if you go there, you guys are fighting. No, I like Bisping. No, my mom's English. And Dana goes, all right, well, I don't care about any of that. Just, we want no problems. And I get there, I'm like, what's going on, man? And he was like ready to go in front of fans at the signing. I'm like, no, you're English. My mom's English. I like you, man.
Right.
And then we've been cool, I think, since.
What was the backstory?
Someone told him something. I don't know.
He thought you were talking trash?
Yeah, but
was that basically?
From like some other guy. It was, I don't know, man. But he's ready to throw down in front of these fans.
By the way, is any part of this show where we like critique this food? Because I really feel I need to give a shout out to this guy.
Do you like it?
I love the food.
No, you know, the show's called Food Truck Diaries, but it's very rare we give him a shout. Only if it's bad, I talk about this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And he gave like a bunch of dips, which we didn't order. He gave this to be nice, but he was insistent that we had the chili. He tried to sell us on this. We both passed, and he's like, okay, I know you guys
have to have the chili.
You have to. So I got to try the chili.
You gonna try it?
I'm not really a chili expert, by the way.
I know my chili.
But I do know it tastes good.
Is it nice?
That tastes good.
You also work with the diet too, you know?
Yeah, trying to do the...
Trying to, you know, just...
The carnivore with our own little twist on it.
Carnivore with sugary barbecue sauce and Diet Coke.
A few different dips, right?
A bunch of dips.
A couple of bites of coleslaw.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Now that we're retired, you know, you don't want to get... Nothing's worse when the guy gets all big, you know? There's
It's
nothing
so hard
more
to
depressing.
not. Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's so hard to not.
I work out every day. Cardio, man. Just cardio.
I never knew this about myself, that that one of the reasons I stayed disciplined because I had to. I thought I was just a disciplined guy. But what I finally realized was, no, ever since I was 9 years old, I had a competition. I had a reason to do. As soon as that reason went away, boy, you got to dig deep a little bit. So now exactly what am I going in here for? What are we burning these calories for?
Fat shaming works, man. shout out to the Instagram trolls who keep calling me fat. It works. That's why I'm on a diet.
Fat shaming works. It's funny you said
Peloton's not working, Brendan.
Fat shaming works, and I'll tell you one. Stalking is romance's lost art. I have to tell you.
What do you mean?
I know a guy that stalked a girl, and he married her. Now, hold on. Now, let me run this thing backwards before I get in trouble.
Yeah.
So this guy tells me the story of how he met his wife. And she was on campus, he was on campus. So he followed her around, took notes, learned her schedule. She was a volleyball player.
Super creepy, man.
She was a volleyball player, so her face kept getting put in the paper. He was cutting the pictures out and putting them in his locker.
Oh, wow.
Then he started telling his friends, I don't know her, but I'm going to meet her. We're going to go on a date within 2 weeks. We're going to be engaged with 6 months. I'm going to marry her within a year. So he followed her around, and she passed the same coffee shop every Tuesday at 3. So he started passing it every Tuesday at 3, just said hello. Did that for 3 weeks, and then finally stopped her, introduced himself, got a date. Sure enough, he dated her within 2 weeks, engaged within 6 months, married within a year. I'm going, dude, that's stalking. Now, her reaction to it apparently was positive, but you had pictures of her cut out, put in your locker, and he's like, it's romance's lost art. I'm like, you might be right.
I don't know, bro. In 2020,
You don't want to co-sign this statement.
No, hell no. That is tricky.
Chael, you're on your own on this one.
That is tricky, brother. How
Romance's lost art. You said fat shaming works. Okay, we're both in this together.
For me, you're talking about stalking chicks and getting their schedules down and cutting out their face.
I'd use it as a piece of humor because this guy did it for the
I'm
record.
with you, man. I'm gonna get you out here on this.
Masvidal punched a guy in the bath. Okay, make sure that's the focus of this piece. I didn't do anything. I made a couple of words. Masvidal KO'd a dude in the bathroom. And you want to know why? He couldn't take the risk.
Some poor guy was
take the risk.
had to go in there and take a shit and gets knocked out. Literally the worst night of his life.
Why do you have to punch that guy? Well, he could have been with them, but he might not have been with them.
God damn it, Masvidal. This isn't Miami,
well,
bro.
you kind of have to take the risk. You're George Masvidal.
What a legend, man. Hey, think about this. If Masvidal and Conor do fight, think about the build-up to that.
Ooh, come on. Nice Conor's going goodbye if he comes out with Masvidal. Yeah. He's. We'd have some fun. We'd have some real fun.
We have some fun.
Yeah.
I'll get out of here on this because I know you got to get going. With Bellator, man,
Yep.
you enjoy working with Bellator?
Oh, yeah. They're great.
I took some heat, and obviously you work for him, but we can get into this. I took some heat because I was talking with Rogan and my other friends, Brian and Eddie Bravo, on the Fight Companion, and he was talking. We were talking about some fighter, and I go, unless you're in the UFC, it really doesn't count, man. It really does. It's the NFL. Unless you're doing it in the UFC, it's hard to gauge where a guy is at. You know, Rogan's like, oh, Douglas Lima is world class.
Yep.
That's fine. He is world class. But we can't say he's the best on the planet unless you're in the UFC. I'll stand by that, man. As long as I live, I'll stand by that. It's like a CFL quarterback going, dude, I'm just as good as Tom Brady. Well, no, hold on. You're not throwing against the same defense as Tom Brady is. You're not playing against the same competition every Sunday that Tom Brady is.
And
you're not playing the same league.
At least in this regard, if the statement perception is reality, if that's a true statement, then what you're saying is true. And yeah, most guys, it kind of does go that way. You know, Cyborg's back. And there's really no question, at least in this regard, that the talent can be just as good. I mean, if you look at Ronda, that started with Coker, then ended up, in Vegas, or you look at Cyborg, who started here. I mean, but perception-wise, I think that you make a fair point, for sure.
It's a nice way to say it.
Cyborg's back, by the way. Taking on Julia Budd. You were talking about Bellator. That's this weekend.
Yeah, that's this weekend.
Julia Budd. That's a rematch, apparently, but many people think that Julia Budd has done enough to flip the script. I'm going to have to see
It's
that.
interesting how Cyborg responds after that loss.
Here's the thing with Julia Budd, just to give you this one brief analysis if you're going to watch the fight. Julia Budd is good enough to go with Cyborg. I don't know if Julia Budd knows she's good enough to go with Cyborg, and we're going to find that out in the first 30 seconds. She can hide that all she wants. You and I will see, and we know that look.
It's a good card.
Sure.
Bellator's card, I would say, is better than UFC's this weekend.
It's loaded.
When you look at it, yeah.
Pico's undercard. You want to know how good the card is? Pico's undercard.
Dude, I've rode Pico's coattails for I don't know how long. I love that kid.
I'm still on him too.
I'm still on him. I think there's still hope there.
Little run of bad luck, but as far as the work ethic and the mentality, come
Yeah.
on. This guy's the real
Dude,
deal.
I could do this show for 7 hours, but I gotta I gotta get going, man.
Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, brother.
Well, what do I do? Fade to black and roll the credits.
you're the
I mean, I don't
best,
know. What do
man.
we do? How do we say goodbye?
I tell you, you're the most entertaining man in combat sports.
How much trouble am I going to be in for the stalking is romance is lost? Okay, this is a bit of a comedy show. I mean, we say things around here, don't we? Is this going to be a whole thing for me?
I almost got fired from Showtime last week for things I say, so it's a balancing act, all right,
well,
man?
bring it on, boys.
Bring it on. Ladies and gentlemen, Chael Sonnen.